Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Commander Landed here with another video on DC Legends. And today we're going to be taking a look at Lex Luthor, Assault Warsuit version. And in my opinion, he's one of the top 5 characters in the game. Definitely a cool character, very good. And as we go along, I hope you can see that as well. He's a physical character, and looking into his bio, he's a genius businessman, inventor, and scientist. Lex Luthor sees himself as humanity's true savior, even if he has to threaten society to save it. His affiliations in Justice League and the Secret Society of Supervillains. His powers are genius inventor with armored survival suit of his own creation. And in relationships, we got none, which is kind of surprising because I was hoping to see Superman's arch nemesis in there. So as you can see, I have him at rank 2 of legendary right now. So this is his legendary suit, or the way that it looks. Very cool design, great armor. Love the glowing orbs or reactors on his suit. Very cool rocket launcher, very cool blade on his forearm, very cool character design. Now looking at his stats real quick, we can see his highest one is stamina at 916, which brings his hit points to 9,159, which is above average, very good. Then his second highest stat is intelligence, which plays into his damage for one of his abilities. We're going to see that as we go along. And his strength is the third highest. Lex is a good damage dealer, guys, and his rockets are great debuffers here in the game. More on that later. And he shines when you keep him at 50% or more health, or above 50%, I should say. I'm sorry. Now let's go ahead and take a look at his abilities. And first of all, we have a cut above. This is a conditional damage ability, meaning that it does more damage if he is above 50% health. Normally, at max level, you get an increase of 30% to the damage, but if he's above 50%, you can add another 40% on top of that for a whopping 70% damage increase in one hit. This is a very hard-hitting ability and has no cooldown, so you can use this anytime you want. Now, the legendary upgrade for this ability gives him a 50% critical chance if he's above 50%. This, in my opinion, guys, will be the second upgrade you should get if you're going for a high damage build, or a third one if you're going for a more controlled build. Now, his second ability, Man of the Hour, in my opinion, the best ability for him. I mean, we're going to get into that and hopefully you can see why, but this ability gives him a shield. It also gives him stamina up, again increasing his hit points. At max level, you get a 40% shield and you get 4 stacks of stamina up. This adds a layer of protection or survivability to Lex, and this is the reason why this becomes so awesome. When you look at his legendary upgrade, it gives him damage immunity if he's above 50% health. Now this is the first upgrade you should get. This is the first one I got and I have not regretted it. Damage immunity is a great thing to have. It even makes you immune to bleeds, and I cannot tell you how many times this ability has saved me in a match where he's the only one standing, or pretty much because the AI tends to hone in on him, then he's mitigating damage with that damage immunity. An opener ability for me every single time. Now looking at his third ability, Anti-Alien Strike. This ability purges 5 buffs from the enemy, and it gives him 2 strength down. At max level, you get a plus 35% more damage, and you get 2 more stacks of strength down, bringing the total to 4. This ability is quite awesome to deal with characters such as Suicide Harley Quinn. When she gets those critical chance up buffs and she hits really hard after that, you can get rid of that and eliminate that threat right away. Deathshot also. You can also eliminate Mend from characters like Bane or Chemo. Bane, as we know, he can stack those Mends and just recover a whole lot of health. Bottom line is a great move to get rid of buffs on pesky characters, guys. Now the legendary upgrade for this ability gives him a 100% hit chance, and it purges 3 extra buffs, bringing the grand total to 8. This is the second ability you should upgrade for a control build, in my opinion. The third one if you're just going for damage. Now his fourth ability is called Nuclear Option. This is his AoE attack, and it has special damage, and it purges 7 debuffs from Lex, cleanses his debuffs, and it starts cooldown. It's a 5-round cooldown, which is a really restrictive cooldown in my opinion. Now when you level this ability at max level, you get a 50% damage increase. This ability is rarely used because, again, for the restrictive cooldown, but it has great animation, guys. I'll be honest with you, I use this whether I need to or not, simply because it has a sweet animation, and it has good AoE damage, and self debuff removal is just the icing on the cake. Now the legendary upgrade for this ability gives him 100% damage if he's at full health. but because of the restrictive cooldown, this is the last ability that you should probably upgrade in my opinion. Now let's take a look at his leader passive ability, and it's called You Scratch My Back. This applies affinity up to all the allies who buff Lex, and it gives him a 13% turn meter and 4 affinity ups at max level. It's an average leader passive in my opinion, though affinity up is a great thing to have, and stacking it 4 times is really good, though I think there are characters that give turn meter and affinity up much better, like Cheetah for example, and also Batman Warsuit as Detective, just to give you an example of characters that I think do these 2 things better than Lex, but he has it all combined into one, which is pretty good. Now the legendary upgrade for this ability, it adds an 8% shield to all of the allies that buff Lex, and this ability is currently bugged, guys. I tried it before I started the video, and it only applies affinity up right now and no shield, which is really sad because I had already upgraded this ability, as you can see, hoping to get those shields, but unfortunately they do not apply. Let's talk about some synergies that he has. Now Lex really fits into any team. Lex is for Lex Luthor mostly, so he fits into any team because he works for himself. He's a self-made man, like in the comics. But that being said, he does have some really cool synergies. Green Lantern, for example, when you use Green Lantern as a leader, he gives him shields at the start of combat, and that stun immunity is really sweet. That helps him stay at above 50% health, which is what he really needs to be able to shine. Dr. Fate also gives him shields, and it gives him intelligence up, which again, those shields help him stay at high health, and the intelligence up increases the damage of his nuclear option ability, which is really good. Then we have Batman, World's Greatest Detective. He buffs Lex with affinity up, and he heals and removes debuffs, prolonging Lex's durability in combat and increasing his damage, which again is really good. We want to keep Lex at above 50% health as much as possible. Then we have Striker Wonder Woman. She gives him 2 stacks of strength up, and she helps Lex hit harder. And Star Sapphire, if you use her as a leader, she has the ability to give mend to anybody who gets buffed in the team where she has a chance to apply mend. And since Lex can apply himself a buff, which is the shield and also the damage immunity, then he gets a chance to get mend to again stay at high health, and of course he can heal also. Now some pros that Lex has. Now his first ability has very good damage and has no cooldown. That's really good. His damage immunity lasts for 2 turns, and it helps him stay on the board much longer. Debuffs on enemies, or basically removing buffs from enemies and applying strength down, that's really good also to deal with threats on the field. And he doesn't need much to get going really. You can just pretty much start hitting people from the get-go, and he's gonna hit hard. And of course he has some sweet cool looking armor. Now cons, guys, I had a hard time finding some cons really. For me, the cons are, characters that can perch buffs, of course, will set him back, especially when they remove that damage immunity and the stamina up. The restrictive cooldown on his 4th ability, it's a really sad thing to have because this is a really cool looking ability, and it has pretty good damage for an AoE attack. Now, and once he drops below the 50% threshold, his utility drops drastically, meaning that he stops hitting that as hard as he does, and then he'll just die pretty fast after that. But anyway, guys, these are my thoughts on him. Very cool character in my opinion, but what do you think? Do you think he's a good character? Do you think he's an average character? Do you have him and do you use him? Let me know in the comments section below, or you can tweet me at CommanderLandat on Twitter, and we can continue the conversation there. And as always, guys, if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, as that helps us out a great deal. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on all the great content that we'll be bringing you in the days ahead. And as always, guys, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.